Anthony Zoomtick writes to me and asks me, uh, what do I think was the best mafia film or gangster film of all time? I've read that you say it isn't Goodfellas or The Godfather, so why do you think it's not those two films that every other critic thinks it is? The answer to that is simply because I'm correct. Um, let's deal with the two films that you mentioned first, Godfather, and I'll go with the first Godfather because despite what a lot of critics say, the second Godfather is simply a good film. It's not as great a film as the original film. It has a lot of structural problems. And Robert De Niro, even though he was a great actor, this is actually, even though he won the Oscar for this role, I believe, as the young Vito Corleone, it's actually one of his lesser roles. It doesn't compare to his work in Taxi Driver or Goodfellas or any of the other classics that he was in with Scorsese, or some of the other films as well. But anyway, Godfather made mafia gangster films soap operatic, or I should say operatic almost, beyond just soap operatic. It brought it to sort of that faux Shakespearean King James Bible level. And it works. It works on every level. It works primarily because of Brando's portrayal. And a lot of people over the years have mocked the portrayal of Brando as Vito Corleone, but he brings something to it that no one else could have brought to it, and that is he gives him a depth and a gravitas. Every little movement that Brando makes there is calculated, and it shows what a great artist can do. That's just my cat Kiwi on my lap. Then you look at a movie like Goodfellas, which is always seen as the other great mob film. Although I could make an argument that the early mob film that he had done, Scorsese that is, Mean Streets, is as great a film as Goodfellas. The Departed, even though that finally won Scorsese his Oscar, it was one of those gift Oscars given to a guy body of work lifetime. It's nowhere in a class with either Mean Streets or Goodfellas. It's not even as good as Casino polish. A lot of people think this is the way gangsters really were, the mafia really was in the 60s, 70s, or whatnot. But it's just as phony as The Godfather was. Godfather had the Shakespearean sort of falsetto to it. In reality, Goodfellas was, sort of a slick MTV-like version of the reality of gangsters, and it also didn't capture everything that it should have captured. So anyway, what it did, it took a lot of old mafia stories and recycled them. Martin Scorsese, who even though he's Italian, didn't really know much about gangsters, bought a lot of the stuff that was written in the screenplay by the guy who wrote Wise Guy um, as being, true. But it was clear that it was just a lot of recycled myths and legends. One of these days, I may do a full uh, 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 Ask Dan Schneider or any kind of video about all of that bullshit. But the two films that come to mind as the best mob films in terms of both quality, well, just let me talk in terms of reality. Realism in a film like Ghost Dog by Jim Jarmusch, I think in the late 90s, even though it had a black character playing a samurai warrior, which was kind of silly, the mobsters portrayed in that film, which is a good little film, uh, are spot on. These are guys who walk around in their Bermuda shorts and play cards in the in the back room of a warehouse or something. So they're not these guys who are wearing suits like in Goodfellas. They're not Shakespearean like in The Godfather. But the film that shows the absolute best uh, part of what organized crime was is The Killing of a Chinese Bookie by John Cassavetes, 1976. Ben Gazzara plays a strip club owner who falls in debt with some mobsters and has to kill someone. The portrayal of the mobsters is not slick. These guys are idiots. Uh, Gazzara does kill the guy. He does get the best of the mob, but the film ends with the gangsters closing in on him. And what's so good about this is it shows one incident in the way organized crime worked but it expounds, gives you a greater, deeper sense of the whole milieu because of it. It's not like Goodfellas trying to compress 25 years into just 2.5 or 3 hours. It's not like The Godfather that tries to do the same thing. It doesn't give you an overview. It puts you right there in the center of mafia life with real life gangsters and the small, minute pressures they place on the people that they have under their thumbs. John Cassavetes, as far as I know, didn't know any real life gangsters. He may have known some people who knew some people, but his writing is superb. Ben Gazzara is absolutely brilliant, and either version of the film is great. The shorter version that was originally released, I believe, and then the restored later version. But anyway, I would watch either of them, but the later version, or the longer version actually, is the better version. So watch The Killing of a Chinese Bookie. It is the singularly best mafia film ever, qualitatively and in terms of the reality it portrays. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks for it.